Hi everyone, welcome to another video. This week's video, I'm going to be doing a flip through of my reading journal so far this year. This year is the first year that I've created a reading journal. I only got into reading at the end of 2023, and I had the idea at the end of last year, 2024, to start a reading journal because as a creative person, I've missed having somewhere to go to physically to be creative, and I thought, let's involve my creative side with my new hobby of reading. I did a flip through at the start of the year, so I'd only done a few bits in my reading journal. The way that my reading journal has progressed from the start of this year to where I am now, you can quite clearly see how my style has changed and how I've found my style as I've gone along. Just really nice to look back on and see how things like my monthly spreads have developed and my book review spreads. So I thought we're halfway through 2025 now, so what better time to do a flip through of my journal. And yeah, I'm just really excited to show you how I've got on and how things have changed, and it's a lot more colourful now, it's a lot more put together. Everyone seemed to really enjoy my journal content, so without further ado, let's get into the flip through. Okay, if any of you have watched my last reading journal flip through, I think I posted it back in maybe March or February. All I'm going to say is that my reading journal looks completely different now compared to how it did at the start. And I knew this was going to be the case because this is my first reading journal and I was finding my feet, finding what style I liked. So as I flip through, you'll see how my style has progressed throughout the year. So I'll do a full flip through from start to finish where I am now, but I won't go into too much detail about the start of my reading journal because I do cover that mostly in my other reading journal flip through, but I'll still go over it because I have figured out as I've gone along some of the things that I probably won't include in my next journal. This is my title page. I just wanted something funky that involved a bit of my personality. I made this on Canva and I'm definitely going to be doing this in my next reading journal just because I think it's a nice way to start off the journal really. And then I also made a bit of a mood board. It's bookish but it's also lifestyle as well. Yeah, this was just a fun little vision board. There's not much else to say about this really. Because this is my first reading journal, I wanted to dedicate a spread to my top 10 reads from last year. So this is basically just a bit of a summary of my reads from 2024, top 10, and then a bit of a write-up. And then this next page is very messy. I don't like it very much. I do like the idea of a library, but one thing that I haven't done, which most people do with this, is they colour coordinate the spines. So a lot of people will have a specific colour for a hardback or paperback or a library read or an audiobook or all those sorts of things, but I kind of just have been colouring in as I've been going along really. I don't read books from the library. I don't generally read a lot of audiobooks. I listen to like maybe one every other month. Yeah, I'm not too sure if I'm going to carry this on, but I do like how it looks. And yeah, I might try draw my own next time because again, I just got this off the internet. And then this is a series tracker. These are series in progress, and then these are ones that I'd like to start that I thought of that I wanted to start at the start of this year. And then these are the series that I'm in progress at the moment. I have made some progress as I've been going along this year. I think I will lay this out quite differently when it comes to my new reading journal for 2026. This is my series spread. I read these books last year, but again, because I hadn't had a reading journal last year, I really wanted to dedicate a spread to this series because it's one of my favourite series of all time. Need I say more, really? I just love how this turned out. It's so beautiful and it's exactly the vibe of the books. This is a spread that I did for my favourite books of every month, and I actually really like going back to this to see which one was my favourite of the month. And yeah, I just like this. It's nice and simple, really easy to set up as well, and it will be something that I continue doing because I just like it. The writing at the top's a bit messy, just ignore that. But yeah, I like this. These are all my favourite reads from each month so far, and I need to put July's in. July's will be The Hunger Games. This was my first go at a monthly reading spread. I think it's pretty hideous. It's very messy. I wasn't too sure what I was doing, to be quite honest. I'd not done one of these before. I will do a comparison when we get further on in my journal because I just love how my new ones look compared to this. But it's nice to look back on. It's nice to see how your style changed. This was my first review spread. My idea was I would do a monthly read spread, and then I'd then pick out my favourite read from the month and make a spread dedicated to that. So my favourite read was Strange Sally Diamond from January. So I did a reading review situation for that. Again, these look so much more different in my recent ones, but it's nice to see where we start off. This was my spread for my February books, so what I read in February, and then When the Moon Hatched, little collage I made on Canva, and then a review there. And then this was all to do with some PR that I got from receiving proof of The Night and the Moth. And yeah, that's one of my pinch me moments from 2025 because dream come true was receiving that. And then I did a review spread for The Night and the Moth, and I do like this. It is digital. I don't do digital write-ups anymore, but I do like how this turned out, especially the collage. I think the collage is beautiful. So my next spread would be the March reads. So these were all the books that I read in March, and this was when I was starting to figure out like how I wanted my spreads to look. So this one's a little bit cleaner than my previous ones. We've got a few of my favorite photos of my books that I read, some stats, and then a little March thoughts right up and how I thought the month went. This was when my style was starting to change. And I did a little review spread for Mythos. Loved that book. I listened to it on Audible, and I was following through in the paperback and annotating it. And yeah, this is when my love for Greek mythology began this year. So I then made a introduction kind of spread, like a title spread to introduce my interest in Greek mythology. And then I made a mythology TBR spread. So these were all the mythology retelling books that I knew I wanted to get to. And I have read a few of these. I just need to get round to the Jennifer Saint books and The Wolf Den and Clytemnestra. So I love how this one turned out. I think it's so pretty. And this was definitely where I was starting to find my style more. Again, all of these images are from Pinterest, and I kind of put them all together on Canva. But I love how this turned out. Really happy with this one. This next spread is a bit random. It's not bookish, but I was feeling very inspired that month, and I just wanted to make a spread of Athens and Greece because I really hope I get to go one day and see all the temples because, yeah, it's just a newfound love of mine, and I just wanted to express it in physical form. This is another series spread because I completed the Crimson Moth duology this year. I think this is definitely how I'm going to do my series spreads because I just love this layout really. Crimson Moth duo is one of my favourite series. It's witchy. This series is like perfect for autumn if you're an autumn lover like me. So I love this so much, and I'm really happy with how this turned out. This next one is a Song of Achilles. So you'll see that this bit is a bit of a mess. My March reads are way back here. So this is kind of all within the month of March. I then created a spread for the Song of Achilles, and yeah, you can see where these spreads are going now. I made this spread and I was like, this is how I want my spreads to look because I just love how this turned out. It's just the vibe of the book, everything I imagined, and the little write-up area. Yeah, I love this so much. And then this next one, I didn't have the idea at the start of the book, but I'd seen someone else do it and I thought, I want to do that. So I did a spread for 2025 new book releases. These are all the books that I had my eye on. Some of them I have on pre-order. I had Atmosphere on pre-order. I have Holly on pre-order. I'm so excited for that one. I also had The Night and the Moth on pre-order, and then these are kind of the other ones that I've got my little eye on. These are just them by dates. Yes, the dates are they're all mixed up. They're not in order. I've been going through and ticking them off as they've released, just to keep an eye on them. And then this is one of my favourite. This is definitely when my monthly reading spreads was coming together. So this is my April reads, everything I read in April, star ratings, and then my write-up. And it was my birthday month as well. So I added a bit more images to do with my personality. My monthly spreads from now on are my vibe. They're so much better than how this journal originally started, but it's nice to look back on anyway. I read Circe that month, and Circe is one of my top 5 reads of 2025. This book, I will talk about this all the time now, and I will go back and reread it so many times because this book is just, I love it. So you'll see in a minute there. I then move straight into my May reads, and I did this by accident because I left this page free to do my Circe spread, but I completely forgot where I was and just went in and made my May reads spread and didn't realize that I hadn't done anything on from this month. So we'll find Circe further on anyway. But this was my May read spread. Everything I read in May. It wasn't as good reading month. Felt a bit slumpish that month. I read Medea, and again, that's one of my favorite reads of 2025 so far. But I do like this. It's really pretty. It's a really pretty spread, regardless of how many books I read. And then on this next page, we got to the end of Q1 of this year, so I thought I'd do a little Q1 stats sort of page, all the books I'd read so far. It was just a nice fun little roundup sort of review to do. And then this is where we get to my Circe spreads, and I love this so much. I love making these book aesthetic collages on Canva. It's one of my favourite things to do, especially when I read a 5-star book. Any 5-star book will have a collage made for it because it's my way of expressing my love for that book. Love this, love Circe. I think about this book all the time, and I will recommend this book all of the time. This next page is Medea. So this is where it gets a little mixed up because Circe should have been here and then Medea is obviously for May, but we'll just ignore that situation for now. I luckily got to meet Rosie Hewlett in York at one of the author signing events, and it was one of the best nights ever. It's my first author meetup and sign-in, and I just needed to add that little photo in as well. I got my book signed as well, and I also got Mythica by Emily Hauser too as well. So I love this so much. This book is female rage to its core. I'm so excited to read Medusa by Rosie. It's just going to be perfect. I can already tell. This next spread is a spread dedicated to Seattle because I got to go to Seattle with work. The weekends before we flew home, we had some free time on the Saturday and the Sunday, so I made sure it was bookish because I had to go to a Barnes & Noble. You have to go to a Barnes & Noble when you go to America. So I visited Barnes & Noble. They had a massive Dungeon Crawler Carl section, as you can see there, and I came home with some books. So I got a special edition of Two Twisted Crowns, Wisteria by Adeline Grace, and I got a really cool Princess Mononoke Studio Ghibli book, which basically goes through all of the concept artwork through to the final digital animation work for the film. And yeah, I was nerding out big time with that. Just wanted to create a little collage for my travels to Seattle, and it was bookish, so I was allowed to include it in this. And then this next spread, this wasn't a 5-star. It wasn't a 4-star. This book was a 3-star, but the book, the vibe, and the cover alone was too pretty not to make a read and journal spread for it. It's just a book that I enjoyed. It was whimsical. It's set in spring in the English countryside, and I just couldn't not. And I'm really happy with how this turned out. This is probably one of my favourite collages I've made for a book, and I just think it's really pretty. So this is one of my favourites again. And then this next spread is my June reading monthly spread. This was a very bad reading month. Not entirely because I read Atmosphere, and that book is beautiful and it made me cry. If you haven't read Atmosphere, you'll hear me talking about it a lot because it's the only book that's made me like ugly cry. But yeah, in terms of reading, this was a bad month. I didn't actually read Sweet Pea in June. I read it in May, but I forgot to add it to my May spread, so I just thought I'll add it to my June reads. But it was a DNF anyway. I really didn't like that. Again, Emily Henry, I enjoyed that one, but I don't know. I just don't think her books are for me because I just can't seem to get into them. This next spread, I had to make a spread for Atmosphere. And if you're wondering what the vibe of Atmosphere is, it's this 80s, Starman, Space Odyssey, NASA, astronomy. It's such a beautiful book, and the romance in it is amazing. And yeah, it just needed a space in here. It needed a space. So I'm really happy with how this turned out. I thought I'd do like lots of little star drawings and stuff because astronomy is spoken about constantly throughout this book. So yeah, 5-star, 6-star, soul book, love it. This next spread is for my July reads. So this is my latest monthly reads spread. So if we go from July and how lovely and colourful July looks to the monstrosity of January and February, yeah, I much prefer this. It's a lot cleaner, it's a lot prettier, it's a lot more colourful, it's a lot more me. I've just read The Hunger Games If you want to see a reading vlog, then I've got a reading vlog for the Hunger Games on my channel, and you'll see all my live reactions and thoughts and feelings. This was my book club book of July, and it was amazing. It was really good, really addictive. Overall, I'm just really happy with how this turned out. So pretty and summery. And then finally, where I am up to so far, this is my last spread. This is my spread for the Hunger Games. This is the latest book that I've just finished. It's where I'm up to so far. I'm definitely halfway through my reading journal now. This is by far among one of my favourite spreads. It's just this book and the series. I've loved this series since I was a teenager, and to now be able to read the books for the first time as an adult, these books are just timeless. They're timeless dystopian classics in my opinion. And I'm so excited to create a collage for all of the books in the series. I spent so much time putting this together, and I'm just really happy with how it turned out. So that's my reading journal so far. That's how my spreads have evolved. My spreads have evolved massively since starting this reading journal. This is my very first spread, and this is my newest spread. I'm just to look back and see where I started, and then to get to these newer pages. I'm so happy I decided to start a reading journal, because to be able to involve both of these hobbies, so my reading hobby and then my fun like creativeness, and create pieces of art and love for books that I love, is just so fun. And if you've not started a reading journal yet, I really highly recommend that you do, because it's just so fun. And my days where I'm sitting down and collaging and gluing and sticking like a little kid is just my favourite days of the week, when I know I've got a spread to make in my reading journal. Yeah, that's where I am so far, and I'm just really happy with how this has turned out. It's evolved just how I expected it to and how I wanted it to. And my favourite thing in my reading journals, as you can probably tell, are the individual book spreads and then the series spreads. And I also do really like making these little wrap-up spreads as well, because it's nice to see what you read in the month and your thoughts and things. And then at the end of 2025, I'll come back and I'll do another flip through of the rest of this book when it's all filled in. So that's where I am so far with my reading journal. We're now into August, so my next spread will be my monthly reads for August. That's where I am so far. I hope you've enjoyed this reading journal flip through. I'm just loving having some quiet time to fill this in. I just love my reading journal so much, and I really enjoy doing it. I really do enjoy making all of the collages for the books and how I pictured everything to be. Just really happy that I started this. And if you're thinking about starting a reading journal, you don't have to know how it looks or if you're worried about your style. As you can clearly see from mine, my style's changed a lot as the year's gone on. So if you're someone who keeps umming and ahhing and not too sure whether to start, just do it. Just go for it. It's so fun, and you'll really enjoy it once you get into it. And just remember, there's no right or wrongs when it comes to journaling and creativity. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. I've really enjoyed showing you my reading journal and where I'm at so far. I hope you're having a lovely afternoon or evening wherever you are, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!